right, guys. On the injuries from the game, Elijah Mitchell ended up having ribs. Be limited in practice this week. Trent Williams, his ankle will continue to manage. Ebo, same deal with his calf, will continue to manage. Nakua had a hamstring. He'll be out a few weeks. Jimmy Ward had a quad. 1 to 2 weeks. Outside chance of this week, but not real optimistic about it. The game. Go ahead, guys.
Kyle, do you know what exactly the Ward injury is and when it happened in the game?
Yeah, I think it was like a grade 1 quad strain. Happened, I think it was the beginning of the fourth quarter. Maybe slightly at the end, into the third. Sure, I know it was in the second half.
There was a report maybe a couple of weeks ago that you guys were at least kicking the tires as far as trading for a veteran running back. I think your injury issues at running back were worse at that point. Is that still the case? I mean, is that of interest to you, or has what Mitchell's done the last couple of weeks kind of satisfied you about that position?
Yeah, I mean, that report I don't think was anything that big of a deal. You know, when you have a personnel department, those guys talk on the phone to people all the time. That doesn't mean any. I mean, we do our due diligence with every player in every position. So that never was the case to where, hey, we were thinking about trading for a guy. If it was, I think I would have known about it. And yeah, I'm real happy with how Elijah's doing. But we also got some depth back. I mean, at that time, we were nervous. You know, we had to get guys off other people's practice squads and stuff just to address enough backs. Right now, our guys have been healthy and open up Jeff Wilson's window this week, so he should be back at practice this week, and it'll be his first time playing football in a long time, so I don't know if he'll be ready to go this week, but at least we know he's coming back soon too.
Kyle, I know a lot of rookies this year have taken some time to get their feet underneath them in the league. Elijah Mitchell isn't one of them. You've entrusted him with a big role in the offense since week 1. Is there something about him, a maturity, an intangible that sticks out, or is it just that he's really good?
Yeah, I mean, I think that all goes together. I mean, I think he is a very talented guy, but that's, you know, to make it in this league, especially as a rookie and stuff, and the situations he's been in, you can't just be talented with your physical skills. You got to be made of the right stuff too. And you know, he's an extreme pro in terms of, he doesn't say a lot, but he takes coaching. Bobby coaches those guys very hard. He never takes it personally. He always is trying to get better. He's extremely tough. He's had to play through some injuries here since he's been going, and so far he's showed he's got what it takes to make it in this league.
Not too long ago, Jimmy Ward kind of mentioned, hey, you kind of wonder how the Rams can keep adding people like that in the salary cap. Obviously, the Denver trade Von Miller, there was salary that was taken, but do you sometimes think, how are the Rams adding all these guys, and what did you think about the Von Miller trade?
I mean, I heard it while I was in meetings going through our game from yesterday and stuff, and I mean, it's like anybody who's got to play against them. I mean, you don't want to have to add Von Miller to the mix, but that's part of this league, and it's part of what happens. You got to be ready for anything. I know Von's a real good player, and will definitely help them. I don't know exactly the details of, you know, cap-wise or money, what they did for it and stuff, but you know, that's going to help them right now, that's for sure.
Have you been told you guys are... Oh, go ahead, Matt.
Well, I was just going to ask, where are you guys with your roster, Kyle, and is there a possibility that you guys could make a trade by tomorrow's deadline?
I mean, there's always a possibility. Those guys talk through everything. I'd be surprised if we did. You know, those trades aren't always as easy as they seem. That's why I think there's a lot of talk through all 32. Down to it, there's not many that actually happen. We're open for stuff that we think that could help us now, but we don't want to do that at the expense of hurting us in the future. And there's a lot of things that go into it, so I won't say never, but I'd be surprised if something happens. Or you want to finish, Tim?
No, that was the same question. I'll ask you another one. I'll think of another one. You mentioned
Kyle, go ahead.
That you mentioned yesterday that you weren't probably not going to play Trey Lance yesterday just because you want to be careful with him. Was it also the situations, though? I mean, mean, you look back on it, would it just been hard to get him in there, and is it going to be hard to get him in there if Jimmy's playing that well?
I mean, I don't really look at it that way. I mean, when I'm not just putting in a backup quarterback just to get him experience. I mean, that's great and all, but that's not totally what you do. I put in a backup quarterback because he's got a little bit of a different skill set. So if you think that makes sense in a certain down and distance or a certain situation, I love having that option. People use a wildcat in certain situations, and I look at it no different. I think what helps a lot more is when your wildcat's not a wildcat, that you could call, he is your backup quarterback and he could throw it at any time. That does help you in a lot of schematic situations. Most people lean towards red zone and short yardage, but at any time. And I thought Jimmy was playing pretty good versus Detroit, and we did that. Same thing versus Green Bay down there on the goal line. So that really doesn't factor into it, just with him being out those few weeks, not even sure if he was going to dress, and him getting better throughout the week when I wasn't going to just throw him out there to do that stuff just for situational plays.
Hey, Kyle, how did it come about that John Lynch spoke to the team Saturday night? Was that something that he wanted to do, that he offered to do, and what was the message that he relayed to the team?
No, that was something I asked him to do. Being here over this fifth year, I've asked him to do it a few times. Haven't asked him for a couple of years probably. He might have done it once last year, I can't remember. But I was just thinking about all the stuff that we'd gone through the week, and I thought it'd be great just to hear a different perspective. John does a great job when he talks to the guys, and anytime you can have a guy who's a general manager talk that also is a Hall of Famer who played it the way he did, I think it goes a long way. And there wasn't, I thought, just getting him up there and kind of addressed every player, every position and stuff, and what he thought about guys, and kept it real with a bunch of people, the good and the bad, and cool to hear him talk. I think he fired us up and gave the guys a lot of perspective, and you can ask the players a little bit more about it, but I asked him to do it hoping it would be good, and it was even better than expected.
Kyle, are you guys planning to open the practice window for Kittle this week also?
Yeah, we should open it for Kittle and Robbie and Jeff. And then Greenlaw, we're still not sure of. We're hoping we can by Wednesday, but he's got to pass a few more things before we do that.
Well, there are definitely instances where the cornerbacks were giving a lot of room, maybe even on some third downs. Was that part of maybe like being aware of the DPI stuff, or was that just happening and it wasn't part of anything, it just was happening?
No, I agree with you. I thought we gave him a little too much room on a couple plays in particular. Gave him a couple of easy first downs, especially that second and long. I think it was second and long, or first and 16, where they got right back to it right away. So we definitely got to be a little bit tighter. I was happy that we didn't give any big ones. Didn't have the PIs. We had that holding. So I thought we took a step in the right direction, but can't give him those easy completions either.
First full game for Hufanga, how did he do?
I thought he did real well. I was excited about Huff. He's played a certain style every time he's been out there. I mean, the guy only knows one way, and I thought that was one of the cool things. Like, I told the team why I wanted John Lynch to speak, because I didn't know him much until we got here together, but I always felt like I knew who he was just by watching him on tape. And when you watch Huff, the way he plays, the energy he plays with, I feel similar. And, not trying to compare him to Lynch or anything, but you can see the passion he plays with. And I bet you guys notice that. I bet the fans notice it. And usually when you have some talent and you play with that type of passion, it gives you a chance to separate yourselves. And I think he's doing that here the last few weeks.
Mm-hmm. Kyle, as well as you guys, what? Go ahead.
When you guys made the trade to move up for Trey, you had mentioned that other teams had been trading first round picks and things like that. Just in light of the Von Miller trade, well, how do you view the way these trades have sort of changed over the last decade or so with teams' willingness to trade future draft picks, maybe for a little bit more certainty in veteran players?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a lot different, I think, than I grew up paying attention to, and I think what you guys all did too. That's why it's so surprising. And that was kind of the point I was trying to make during the trade, is I agree that used to be the biggest deal, but over these last 5 years, I just see so many teams do it. And I think a lot of teams it really helps, and sometimes it doesn't. And it's all a risk in this league, whether you're trading future picks for stuff you think can help now, but it's also a huge risk on every person you draft. You never really know until people get in the situation. There's a lot of things that tie into that, so I don't think there's any right or wrong answer going into anything, but usually based off the results, you'll have an idea at the end, and I do think it adds a lot more competition to this league, and it makes the more one person's risky, the more it makes a lot of people be risky, because you got to compete and you got to keep up with those things, but they all work out differently.
Kyle, as well as you guys played and as satisfying as yesterday's win was, how much more of a challenge are these next 2 weeks, obviously against division rivals who are both playing well? How much will you kind of learn about your team, do you think, these next 2 weeks?
A ton. I mean, you learn a lot about your team every week, you know. And I know the Rams and the Cardinals are playing as good as anyone in this league, and you know, the film shows, and so does their record. But in the NFL, you don't really look at it that way. I mean, you can play a team that's winless, and they can play at extremely high level on any given week. So anytime you start to look at games like this, one's harder than the others, my experience of it, it comes back to haunt you, because really doesn't matter. It comes down to 3.5 hours usually on a Sunday, and everyone's got talented people, everyone's got talented coaches, and you got to be ready week in and week out.
Well, when you say that Brandon Aiyuk has had a good week of practice like you did, or a good couple weeks, I think you said, can you just say generally what does that mean? Is it meeting room stuff? Is it on the field? What alerts you that Brandon Aiyuk is having a good week of practice?
I mean, usually on the field. I mean, in the meeting, they're listening a lot and you're trying to teach, but, you know, the results usually are on the field, and it has to do with just how you do everything, how you do individual and how you run your routes, how you compete in one-on-one, how you do on the plays that we just put in or trying to script in from a mental standpoint, whether you do them right, how fast you are. I mean, we have the GPS on all these guys and how hard they run each day, things like that, and just being consistent with it. And Aiyuk's strung together a number of really good weeks, and that's what's been encouraging about him. And just last week, you know, doing just what he had done the previous few weeks, I thought he took his game to another level. And not just me, but I thought the players felt it. I thought he felt it. And just going into yesterday, I mean, you could feel that it was going to happen. And he was capable of doing a lot more. I mean, the game panned out the way it did. But when his number was called and the coverages took the ball to him, he made some plays. And you know, the play that he made on the 3rd and 4 at the end of the second quarter allowed us to call the next play, the post to Debo, that ended up getting us 3 points and had a chance to get us 7. Thought he made an off-schedule play, I think, on 2nd 11, got about 25 yards on it, which led to 3 points. And I thought he blocked his tail off, too. And whether he was catching balls or not, I thought he had his best game as a blocker, as a runner, as a punt returner, and as a receiver.
Is he going to remain the punt returner?
Yes.
Do 2 more guys.
Kyle, how close were Aziz and D Ford to being ready in this game, and are you optimistic about them being ready for next week?
I am optimistic about them next week. They were close enough that we took it all the way till Saturday. But usually when it's not looking good on Friday, that's when we put them down as doubtful. We held out hope. That's why we took them with us on the out, but still a long shot. This week, much better today, and hopefully they'll be cleared by Wednesday.
Kyle, Robbie Gould can't.
Kyle, it seemed like you're.
Would you be comfortable with Joey Sly as your kicker?
So I missed the first part of that. What'd you say?
If Robbie can't make it back this week, would you be comfortable with Joey Sly as your kicker this weekend?
Yes, I would. You know, obviously we want Robbie to get back, and I know Sly, he missed extra point, and I know he missed that kick. But I like how he keeps coming at it, man. We had the same kick a little bit ago, and he hit that. Does a good job kicking off. He had that big one at the end that really allowed us to take a 2-score lead with under 4 minutes to go. Really enjoyed the guy. I think he competes, and I think he'll only get better. I mean, last week him missing that extra point, or 2 weeks ago in the rain, and then coming back and drilling whatever that was, a 56-yarder in the rain, I thought was pretty impressive and showed a lot about the guy, and got a chance to be successful in this league.
Kyle, what was working so well with your offensive line in the game on Sunday? It helped the running game get going so much faster.
I thought they were tied together real well. They didn't make many mistakes. The grit they were playing with, I mean, it starts with them 5, but, the way that our tight ends just helped handle the edges, cleared out some stuff. And, when you're able to do that stuff, and also doing better on third down helps a lot. Like, it all ties together. I mean, we were a lot more successful on third down in this game. We got much longer drives, and you got to keep the defense a little more off balance. You got to make them defend a lot of different things, and that makes the game not just easier for them, but for all the positions. And we've been tough on ourselves lately because of how bad we've done on third down. And if you're doing as bad as we've done these last few weeks, you're not going to do much unless you're unbelievable on first and second, and that's not always the case. And yesterday, I know we got off to a slow start, 1 of 5 on third down, but then we came back stronger in the second half, and I think it helped our whole offense out in every aspect.
Did you watch the film today as a team?
I always show things as a team, but then I broke up and we watched the entire film as an offense, and then the defense goes together and they watch the entire film as a team. I do stuff for the team meeting.
What was the reaction on the Elijah Mitchell 5-yard touchdown run?
That was one that I show in front of the whole team, and there was about 12 clips. I always make little notes on our computers that go with plays, and I always do with the team. That I always do just for myself. I write on plays. I just write WIT, but what I believe it means what it takes and what it takes to win football games. And we had a number of clips like that. I go back to Elijah's second run on the game. I think it was the 4th play of the game. It was 1st and 10, and ran power, and he got stopped at the line of scrimmage. But him and Juice kept driving their feet, and he got 7 yards and made it 2nd and 3. And it's a little play in the game, but that play to me shows everything. That you need stuff like that. That's what it's going to take to win. From Devo's 3rd and 19, the first third down that we had in the third quarter, we got set back with the clipping penalty on that screen, and just trying to call a screen to get back so you can punt it and flip the field. But Devo hit in that lane, and just watch all 11 guys on that play, just how hard they went to not just get a first down, but to get a touchdown. And that's the stuff that it takes to win. And then finishing it at the end when, you think you're going to get stopped there on the 4-yard line, and watching 11 guys just who are desperate for a win, doing everything they can. You can see it on the silent tape and watching them push it in there. I think that's a very inspiring player for a whole offense and then for a team. And that's why it was fun to watch that together.
Thank you, guys.
All right, guys. Thanks.
Thank
See you Wednesday.
Thank you.